Prophets everywhere gaze upon the horizon and declare that judgment will come as the savage hands of unscrupulous men pile everything pass by. Time is running out. Today, when I look around in the world, what do I see? I see footprints that man have left on the sand while walking through time.
Yes, man.
I see fruits of our ambition, figment of our imagination, and I ask myself, when will it end? When will it end? It is plain to see, universally this land is not bountiful as it was, simply because in his quest for success, nothing stands in man's way. All rivers run dry, soon the birds will fly, the mountains will be no longer high. And when I really think of it, I just wonder why, oh why.
I see you.
I see charity deplored, equal rights totally ignored, wisdom and ingenuity working in accord, simply to afford such inventions as thermonuclear warfare and environmental warfare. And I wonder now, where do we go from here? Prophets everywhere gaze upon the horizon and declare that judgment will come as the savage hands of unscrupulous men pile everything pass by. Time is running out as we eat and drink, species at the brink of being extinct. And I think no one can deny that the price of progress is high, real high. I see consciousness as great as today we live recklessly. Money make egos inflate and thereby create a turbulent state. I see a struggle between the sexes, new hang-ups and old complexes. Now the question is, right in context, what shall be next? I've already seen this world have come divided between race, color, creed and class. And some of the things the scripture predict truthfully come to pass. Soil that wouldn't bear children, making children to be a part of this growing mass. And I ask, if this is progress, how long will it last?
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, and Trinidad, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web. Pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is the corridor transformation. It appears to be a very long time we have not seen each other, but I want to say it's a very short time. And of course, circumstances beyond our collective and individual control. Yesterday, total blackout on Prince Street and George Street, so we didn't have the benefit of electricity last night. And then, of course, the nights before we had some unforeseen. Well, we hope that that would have been rectified. Our technical people did take a look at it. But let's see how it stands up tonight, because the proof of the pudding is what is completing the exercise tonight. And if we don't, it means therefore that we have to go back to the drawing board. If we do, it means that we are on our way to making certain that the stability and the consistency and the fact that we are determined to deliver information to you timely and in real time, and on this program will be in its perspective, so to speak. That being as it may, once again, of course, you know, I had to do it twice because it's so nice. A pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, Central, and Trinidad, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. But of course, I know you would have missed the COP as well, so let me, before I do anything else, let me, of course, ask him to give his salutation, because there are serious topics, several topics tonight, and of course, we will lead the way by a clip coming out from the United Kingdom, where there's a recent report about gangs and, of course, the impact it will have on their society, but more significantly, how does it affect Trinidad and Tobago moving forward, having regard to the very ambitious plans of the present government to revitalize Trinidad and Tobago in all aspects, so that we, the citizens, can benefit in terms of quality of life, standard of living, and of course in peace, security, and the accumulation or the creation of wealth and prosperity. That being as it may, a pleasant good night, COP. Long time we have not seen.
Good night to you, Lennox Smith, and to Josh. Good night to you. Good night to your family. Good night to all the listeners and viewers of the Corridor Transformation. Welcome. Make sure and tell a friend to tell a friend. The Corridor Transformation is live at Lennox Smith and Mr. COP. Good morning to the ground report team. I believe you all do a fantastic job this morning, Lennox Smith. You and Andy Williams and Nigel Snipe. Good night to you all, and welcome. I know tonight you'll have a bumper program for each and every one of you all out there that locked on to the Corridor Transformation. Tonight we intend to have a bumper program, and I know your topics on them tonight. I will fit in. Your topics on them tonight will be sensational.
Yes, indeed. I mean, and we could go beyond that, but of course, the proof of the pudding is, of course, in the delivery. So we will.
And I must mention too. I look at the headline news tonight, and I was very sad, especially when they say the city of Port of Spain is hungry.
Yes.
The city of Port of Spain is hungry.
Yes.
And why is the Honorable Minister of Local Government stand up next to the Port of Spain mayor? The Port of Spain mayor saying to the news, to the citizens of this country, and to the citizens of the residents and the burgesses in those areas, they are hungry.
Mm-hmm. And of course, while we know that there is a tinge of politics inside of that because of who will be making the statement, the fact is that we have to be as objective as possible and say that we must express deep concern having regard to the objectivity of the statement, not who would have made the statement, because there would be some political, what I consider be currency benefits from who would have made it. In other words, I'm saying that a present government official will not make such a statement. So therefore, once it comes from the opposition, whatever level, at whatever level, the fact is that there is some element of politics, but we as the people who are on the ground and who are the activists and who understand the complexities.
The politics in it.
Yeah, we must tell you that. So don't be lured, because you see, I have been bombarded with too many people saying the UNC will not form the next government, but they stop there. They wouldn't tell us who would, if not the UNC, because you must have a government. That is why. So those kinds of KG and those kinds of what I consider to be moving forward and holding up your handbrakes.
But the UNC have to do the groundwork. The UNC have to represent the people and build confidence. People have to have confidence in the government to vote back for them again. They have to do that work.
Right, but they don't tell us the alternative. You see, they're ashamed to tell the alternative because they know the alternative is worse.
But I believe many people in Port of Spain are really hungry. I believe that.
Yeah. No, they're hungry, but
they
I'm
need
just
opportunity.
I'm talking from the political perspective.
Yeah.
Those people making those statements. They don't tell you who is the alternative. But God, we shiver with fright, and it sends shivers down our spine to even think that the PNM could come back in office, having regard to what they have done the previous 10 years before the UNC coalition of interest took office. But let me start with this statement. It has been recorded, and I think it is important that we understand where we are in terms of the report coming out of the UK.
UK flags TNT gangs.
Sorry about that. All right, let's go again.
5 UK flags TNT gangs. Official report suggests 186 criminal networks responsible for...
Let's start again.
UK flags TNT gangs. Official report suggests 186 criminal networks responsible for 1/3 of this country's murders. Analysts warn it could hurt asylum/visa chances for nationals. But Jensen Lavend and Doris Polo, international relations lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Dr. Michael Pawinski, believes the latest report from the United Kingdom on gangs in Trinidad and Tobago places the country in a negative light. Pawinski said yesterday that this report, coupled with last year's visa restrictions imposed on the country after the number of asylum seekers to the UK grew exponentially, does not help the country's image. The report was published on June 5 by UK Visas and Immigration as part of its Country Policy and Information Note series, and was designed primarily to assist British officials in evaluating asylum applications. According to the report, criminal gangs remain heavily concentrated in economically disadvantaged urban communities, particularly in and around Port of Spain and along the East-West corridor. The assessment estimates that approximately 186 gangs were operating in TNT as of 2023, with a combined membership of around 1,750 members. It linked those organized criminal groups to roughly 1/3 of all murders and involvement in a wide range of criminal activities, including kidnappings, armed robberies, extortion, human trafficking, and the illegal firearms trade. Among the most influential groups identified were the Muslims and Rasta City gangs, which the report said serve as major power centers around which smaller gangs often align. Asked how this latest update may impact the country's image, Pawinski said, "There is connection between the gang activity in Trinidad and how other countries are deciding on imposing further restrictions, which is negatively impacting the image of Trinidad as a potentially unstable country that is unable to manage their internal security. Even with the ongoing state of emergency, which the country has been under with less than a month's break in between since July last year, specifically called to address gang violence, Pawinski says that may not be enough. Something that would potentially repair the image, the international image of Trinidad, is a more comprehensive strategy that is dealing with the causes of the crime and youth joining the gangs. That would be more speaking to actions that are mitigating the situation. The SO is just basically a band-aid on a huge wound that is not healing." In a media report last December in The Times, it was revealed that asylum claims from TNT nationals rose from an annual average of 49 between 2015 and 2019 to 439 that year. A UK government spokesperson was at the time reported to have told the newspaper that a new requirement was imposed to address the growing trend of people arriving as tourists and then claiming asylum. Criminologist Dr. Randy C. Persad agrees with Pawinski, saying if people who may be involved in gang activity flock to the UK under the guise of needing asylum, then their rivals may follow them, exporting the country's problem to the UK. Gang members, quite often when they go into a new country, they have a propensity to engage in crime. They might gravitate towards criminal groups, so of course it's a negative thing for the receiving country, and then the rivalries that existed could be sort of reproduced in the receiving country. He said gangsters wanting to migrate and later claiming asylum weaken a country's image, which may force countries to impose new laws. "I wouldn't honestly be surprised if eventually this leads to some kind of change in the laws when it comes to asylum in the United Kingdom, to kind of, for want of a better word, close that loophole, because my sense from some of the reports I've seen coming out of the UK is that the Home Office is pushing back real hard in terms of letting anybody in when they come, and they are fearful of gangs," C. Persad said. The UK report stated that just being from areas where gangs have control of the communities or being fearful of a gang's attack is not enough to warrant asylum. And while some may be hoping that an impending change in leadership in London could pave the way for easier access to the United Kingdom, a former Foreign Affairs Ministry technocrat who spoke on condition of anonymity believes that hope may be misplaced. The former official told Guardian Media that Britain's immigration policies are shaped less by individual politicians and more by long-term institutional priorities, national security assessments, and public sentiment. In that context, the resignation of a prime minister is unlikely to trigger a significant change in how TNT is viewed by British authorities. British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer's resignation on Monday fueled speculation about whether the UK's immigration policies could be softened under a new Labour leader. The former technocrat believes the latest assessment is unlikely to strengthen TNT's case for a review of those restrictions. Guardian Media also submitted questions to the British High Commission regarding the potential implications of Starmer's resignation and whether Britain's position on TNT could change under a new Prime Minister. While an official response is still pending, a source familiar with the matter said a change in leadership would not likely alter existing immigration policies in the short term. Minister, problem did not occur overnight. In a WhatsApp response to Guardian Media on the report yesterday, Defence Minister Wayne Sturge said that issue did not happen overnight. That is the culmination of 10 years of inaction on the part of the last administration. The government has shown that it is up to the task, and having been aware of these facts, we have taken steps to prioritize gang-related violence, and we will continue to take steps to deal specifically with the influence and impact of gang violence. CARICOM and Foreign Affairs Minister Sean Sobers and former Minister Dr. Amory Brown did not respond to questions up to press time. Meanwhile, former diplomat and Minister Rodney Charles said the situation should be a wake-up call for the government. In a WhatsApp response, Charles said the UK has now decided to codify who from TNT can and cannot apply for refugee status. TNT must develop and rigorously enforce as a top priority a well-thought-out refugee/migration policy that is consistent with our absorptive capacity, our international treaty obligations, our humanitarian principles, and our national security considerations. We delay this at our peril, he said. We cannot, for example, as we have done and are still doing, let in any and every refugee who lands on our shores without appropriate vetting based on agreed principles. The UK is probably telling us without actually saying so that the time for a laissez-faire refugee policy by TNT is long gone. He said the report comes as immigration is now a major political issue among voters in the UK, the EU, Canada and the US, adding that Starmer developed tough immigration policies that seem to have alienated his own party base. More from the report. One of the report's more troubling findings concerns youth recruitment. It said gang membership is largely composed of young men from disadvantaged communities, many with limited educational opportunities and unstable family backgrounds. Sources cited in the document reported recruitment occurring among children between 12 and 16 years, including within schools. Gangs were also reported to recruit members from within the prison system. The report further notes that individuals who refuse to join gangs, attempt to leave gang life, or openly challenge gang authority can become targets for violence. Family members of gang-affiliated persons, as well as police officers, prison officers, members of the judiciary and prosecutors were also identified as potential targets. Although the UK assessment acknowledges that TNT possesses anti-gang legislation and specialized police units dedicated to combating organized crime, it raised concerns about the capacity of law enforcement to effectively contain the threat. Citing information from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, the report says senior police officials have admitted to being overwhelmed by the scale of gang activity. Investigators reportedly face difficulties identifying suspects, gathering intelligence, and securing prosecutions, particularly in tightly knit communities where gangs exert significant influence and where officers may fear reprisals against themselves or their families. The document also highlights concerns over criminal infiltration into public projects. It notes that in October 2025, the TNT government suspended several public contracts in gang-controlled areas as part of efforts to address allegations of corruption and criminal influence. Despite these challenges, the UK assessment stopped short of describing TNT as a state overwhelmed by organized crime. It concluded that while gangs maintain influence in specific communities, their power is not considered widespread enough to dominate the national political system or exercise systematic control beyond the areas in which they operate.
Oh boy, COP, I mean, it leaves anybody not only with a chill, but also with being confounded and in a state of enigma as to such a report coming out of the United Kingdom, because it has several implications. And we have said that on this program. We have said that if we do not address the whole question of coming out of the various advisories from these countries, Trinidad and Tobago, all of the efforts that have been made will amount to very little if we cannot address the question of crime and criminality, our young people gravitating to a life of crime. And we did over and over also say that next month, July, some 13,000 young people will be added to the what I consider to be the out of school out
black
of
carpet.
secondary school
They will be on
category
the black
of
carpet.
individuals, and therefore the possibility of many of them gravitating to a life of crime or adapting that way of life. I just want to hear your comment before we go further, because I know that sends a chilling reality to many of the listeners and callers tonight who would be either calling in or viewing the program tonight. Go ahead, my friend.
Especially ones who want to make a factual contribution on these things. But this has started yesterday. Those gangs and them started. They was climbing from 2008. From 2010 to 2015, the People's Partnership, they put a dent. They put a dent on them crimes. And up come the PNM and Faris Alwari. 10 years. Because it mentioned in the same report, 2024 was the most heinous. It had the most amount of gangs. It grew from 2010 to 2025. It grew under the People's National Movement. Yeah, it grew tremendously under the People's National Movement. They allow it to grow. Why is the Attorney General then, Faris Alwari, and the Prime Minister then, Keith Rowley, was mentioned in Parliament? They know all the gang members. They know them by name. They know them by address, by location, affiliation, destination. They know everything. So it's not just the Americans that know, The PNM know too. And they allow it to grow. But we had to say, Lennox Smith and listeners of the Corridor Transformation, we had to say, thank God, the citizens of this country vote out the People's National Movement and put the coalition of interest headed by the UNC. We see now which part we have foreign support in crime. We see now which part we have the Navy SEALs coming on wire to protect our borders, and ensure wrongdoings. When I watch the news tonight and I see people get locked up,
Yeah.
I say, we, Papa, thank God to the citizens of this country that vote for the coalition of interest.
Yes.
Things
Well, of course,
happen.
we have a caller. Sorry about that. I forgot to make the announcement that I wouldn't be able to get you on the system, but I'm going to use the handset and put it up by the mic, and of course have the person on speaker so that we can get their input. So valuable are you that we have to improvise, and of course they say, well, creativity, they say, is the mother of invention. Something
And
to that
if they behave themselves, I will give them my number to call to.
Beautiful. All right. So we have Mr. Faizabad on the line. President, good night. Welcome. You heard the pressing news. Go ahead. Are you hearing? Go ahead. Let me hear. Boy. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm hearing you. Go ahead.
You hearing me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is San Fernando.
Oh, San Fernando. Yeah, sorry about that. That's here for Faizabad. Go ahead.
You hearing me now?
Yeah, loud and clear. Loud and clear. You are hearing me?
Loud and clear.
Okay.
He can just talk a little harder.
Yeah, good night to all your listeners, all your callers, and to everybody.
Right.
You're talking on the issue of crime tonight.
Yes. And that report from coming out of the UK.
All right. Now, my first thing is this: the PNM seems not to be able to realize that every time you have like the SCA or Common Chance as it was originally.
Yeah.
Right? They seem not to realize that every time 13,000, 15,000 or whatever, the numbers are huge.
Yeah.
Coming out of school who fail the SAE or the number is too high. And what it will eventually do, as you're going along the years, you will have, like, let's say last year, the year before that, you had 12,000, the year before that, 10, the year before that, 9. Between that age group from 10 to 18.
You're breaking up, boy. You're breaking up.
Is they are right.
Oh,
I'm breaking up.
yeah, boy.
Oh, I'm wondering why. Okay, I think I know why.
All
I
right.
think my air condition might be on.
All right.
I think so.
So
Let
what
me
you want to
switch
do?
it off.
All right.
That's no.
Take your time and do quick.
Right. You better now?
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
The PNM seem not to be able to realize that every time these numbers, when children write the SAE at 10,000, 5,000, and you're going year after year, when a child is 11 now and reach the age of 18, and he is considered a failure, right? That all of these huge numbers will affect the growth of Trinidad and Tobago. And I, as a citizen, ought to be concerned about it. And if I am not concerned about it, and the PNM is not who is in government, then something is terribly wrong here. You follow where I'm coming from?
Yes. Go ahead.
When an individual reach 18 and he's considered a failure, and you have thousands of them, right, who are considered failures in the system, what it is going to do, it is going to escalate. Crime is going to escalate, because remember, these young people, they're searching for a living or money, and if they can't find it through the legal system, they will go the illegal way.
Yes.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the PNM seems not to be able to realize that, and this present government was handling it in 2010 to 2015. And now that the UNC has won again, they will handle it, because the way they're handling it, they put in police in schools and all these things so that children will stay in school and learn the lessons. Right? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the issue of crime will escalate if we don't put a handle on our young ones and educate them from small, right? The numbers are too large where the failures are concerned. You follow what I'm saying?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So this is my contribution.
Thanks very much.
Thank
COP,
you so much, caller.
that caller seemed to be on the button in terms of the numbers, because I mean, I remember back in 2005, so stick a pin right there and focus. 2005, not 25, 2005, when they still had the common entrance around. We did our own assessment, and of the 9,000 that didn't find a place in the secondary school, now these days everybody find a place, but of the 9,000 that did not find a place, 900 was from Laventille, and we decided to do something about it, and that is how one of the reasons why the MLIO trade school was born, in order to absorb those kinds of young people who the system would have failed. Not that they have failed, the system would have failed, because you have to find ways. I mean, they must like something, but you have to find something. The system must be so adaptable that they can absorb them, but that was not the case. It may be so today. We will do the assessment. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hello, good night. Pastor Lennox and Mr. COP. And
Yes,
the
good night to you.
Transformation. Lennox.
Hey.
You know, as a man, me sugar coated nothing, and me come to put the boy tell like me walking on the red carpet. The crumb crying out. The East-West corridor crying out. You are not crying out. Because you could not afford to hear people's contribution.
Yes, boy.
And you're supposed to have a good working network.
I agree, yeah. Financial constraints is part of the ability. Yes.
Or they could have fixed it up so that's scrapping it, and they can have poor people with bread, like how Fally did it in Tobago there, and looking for more money for the plan them. the scrap URP, the scrap CPEP, and the URPs, and they bring a new program now. Because they say literally people corruption, and nobody get arrested, nobody not going to jail. And this program they launch here now, 4 and 3 fortnight of people can't get paid. The white crime could never stop. When a man working hard and he can't get paid, what you gonna lead to provide for your family? We gotta be real. I that man support the UNC and they're dropping the ball. They're dropping the ball real bad, Lennox. People who fight and toil and give UNC and show them that love for all that years. They're not showing that love anymore. They should people who cause them for 40 something, 30 something years, they're getting all the love. After that, PNM people and Talk City, they pushing agenda and banning UNC activists. And I'm saying, no, what's going on, no? You that man on the ground. I on the ground, you know. So they look too good. And one more thing before I
Go ahead.
well by the Honorable Acting Prime Minister.
KFC.
Me push
KFC.
Let me finish. You finish it.
KFC.
People out.
All right.
Drilling John.
KFC yourself, now, man.
All right.
I make an appointment over 8 months now. You know what I'm telling me? They don't see 1620 30.
All right. That like somebody's surgeries in the hospital or what?
Discuss that. Very much, Lennox. You have better service, you know. You are RTI, you know.
Yeah.
I shell along the place, you know. Bless.
Yeah, man. Yeah. He's so
Stop fighting so much now. Leave Julie John alone now. Leave Julie John alone.
Yes, indeed. But I was making the point before he came and make his presentation, his contribution, that in 2005, when we looked at the stats, 9,000 persons, the system would have failed. Because remember, you didn't have everybody going to finding themselves in a secondary or at least going on to some school, because I don't consider Latapi or even Serval to be a secondary school in the traditional sense, but certainly they were able to move on to the next level. Other than that, you would have a 7 standard class, and inside of there, you know, people just wait on time before they leave the primary system, and that's it. All right, so what we did, recognizing that 900 of that 9,000 was in Laventille, we decided to form a trade school, a vocational skills training program that would absorb as much of them as possible, of course, over time, incrementally. And today, I don't know if that is a consideration on a macro level, on a policy level, because here it is, we have over 13,000 now coming out of the system, including those who would not have, who in the secondary, in the common entrance system, would also be part and parcel of that. Now, there is a reason why that 9,000 remained as well, because there was a pass mark that they could not achieve in that system. But in this system, the C system, there is a pass mark still. We have something like 30% of them, 30%, I believe, if I could be wrong, because I may get my figures mixed up, but let me just say that as a large number of them, 12,000 of them, not 12,000, well, a large number of them would have made under 30% of the marks. Would have made under 30% of the marks. I will check the numbers to make certain that I'm not too far off. But just in case, I know callers are very knowledgeable, and they will, of course, try to make their intervention in order to make certain that we are as close as possible to the actual numbers that is being bandied about. But I think it was under the PNM, and you had, of course, not just Dolly, who was the Minister of Education at the time, indicating that they couldn't find over 1,000 of them, I think 1,200 of them after coming out of COVID. They couldn't find 1,200 of them, so them escaped the system.
3,000.
All together. How much?
3,000.
Right, 3,000. And then you also have that disturbing amount where they couldn't pass the minimum of the marks. They made below half of the marks.
65%.
Right. And then inside of that, you also have those who didn't do too well at all in terms of mathematics and so on. So the statistics presents the policymakers, the technocrats, and those people who design these programs. It provides them with a challenge because the figures are there. If they are not passing, if they are not being able to cope with the work, then something has to give. It's either teaching didn't take place properly, either the curriculum was not well designed to make certain, because when I went to training college, it was established that teaching did not take place if your student couldn't pass your exam. Let me repeat, and I think it's the same thing now with the modern system, because I can't see it changing. And I note with a high degree of appreciation that there is now discussion as to continuous education as part of the system of education in Trinidad and Tobago, which is a good thing, because like me, I was a slow learner. I started to pick up maybe around Form 3. So it means that in primary school, right in secondary school and up to Form 3, I mean, I was fighting to come second to last and so on in tests in those days. And of course, when in Form 3, I took a personal decision, and then I started to excel so much so that my former colleagues who were brighter than me started to get vexed. But who vexed lost, right? But the fact is that the system must be able to adapt and to adjust. So continuous education in the system within the same parameter, because you can't have these students and them in the secondary school for inordinate length of time. It means, therefore, those who had to come in, you wouldn't find space, etc. Or you may have to have a school every 3/4 mile in Trinidad and Tobago. So certainly, there must be a cutoff point, because finances and other factors will not allow. But certainly, continuous education, I think, is the way to go to accommodate those slow learners, those who are late bloomers, if you want to call it that, and of course still accommodate those who are quick and those who are very adaptive and could of course excel. So I think that is the way we should be going. But let's get back to the whole question of crime and criminality. Listen to this, and of course this is the audio from the video that you are seeing at this point in time.
And let me try to stick to this topic, Akola.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
Accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe. Right? People of this country are quite correctly holding this government. People of this country are quite correctly. People of this country are quite correctly. People of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe. Right now, the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element, but you hold the government accountable. Budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element, but you hold the government accountable. We are losing the war against the criminal element, but you hold the government accountable. And the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We're taking the advice from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
So that was the voice of former Prime Minister in the first iteration, the first term of the PNM in office between 2015 and 2020. 2015, 2020, that was the Prime Minister then of Trinidad and Tobago admitting failure.
And they do nothing about it.
Right. And I want to say too that came as a result of, remember, the UNC would have demitted office in 2015 at the same time. So it means, therefore, between 2010 and 2015, you had much less murders per year than what he was experiencing, and therefore he gave up. But I don't want us to stop there, because there was a Trinidad and Tobago and a government prior to 2010. Well, prior to 2010, I was asked, so I can tell you, by Patrick Manning, who was the Prime Minister at the time, when he called, of course, on early elections. But the fact is that 2008 was the highest amount of murders in the country, 537, thereabout. And after that, it declined with the intervention of the UNC and their policies. You see, I am saying so because I want people to understand that, yes, things might appear to be bad now, but imagine if the PNM was in office, how worse it would have been. That's the point I am making here. Please, do not take God out of your thoughts and gravitate to what I consider to be the bellowing and the cacophonous babblings and the ambulatory narrative of the PNM today, only talking about how high the crime situation is, and in spite of the SOE, we're still having murders and so on. Do not take God out of thought, but be more analytical. So prior to the UNC in 2010, you had the highest amount of murder in 2008 under a Manning PNM administration. But let's go further back. Prior to that, there was a UNC government under Basil Pandey at the time. Remember that? 1995, yes, 95, there was a Basil Pandey administration. And even then, murders could have not reached as far as 300. But let's go even further back. There was a A.N.R. Robinson-led NAR administration, 1986 to 1991. Remember that? 1986 to 1991. And you could hardly have 200 murders. 200 murders you could have is one something every year from 1986 to 1991. And then when Basil Pandey eventually, because the PNM came in 91, in the 91 elections, and of course the murder rate began to escalate. So by the time Pandey came in 95, it was such that 200 was a little bit compared to what the PNM under Manning would have experienced and delivered to Trinidad and Tobago. And then pushing all that back and putting all that behind us. When you look at, of course, the 2000, why I keep saying 2000? The 2007 to 2010, let me put it that way, when the UNC came back into office under Kamala Prasad Bisesa, you saw, as I said, in 2008, the highest amount of murder then. Fast forward to recently, from 2022, 23, 24, not only was that 2008 murder toll broken, but it was broken consecutively 22, 23, 24, 25 under the PNM, and of course under the combination of Rowley and the Stuart Young, even though his was just temporary, just about a month. But the fact is that he was prime minister then too. So record breaking after record breaking. The conclusion has been that once the PNM is in government, murders escalates, crime escalates. One has to draw that conclusion because there's a constant pattern. Go ahead, my friend. Go ahead, my friend. Yes.
When Basdeo Pandey was prime minister, he introduced the community patrol. He introduced the E99, the 99 rapid response, and them was dealing. When we had 100 murder a year, that is to aggravate the UNC and Basdeo Pandey, and he put everything in place to ensure. Because I can remember when is Basdeo Pandey say one death, one murder is too much for our country.
That's right.
1 point something million.
Right.
Basdeo Pandey is the man who said that. And he introduced community patrol and E99, and he started dealing with the crime and put police all over. And it had programs in community too for children to turn away from crime and block and all them kind of thing. From the time the PNM come in, the PNM say no, they let all the gang grow, escalate,
that's right,
borderlines.
And through the very URP and CPEP and so on, which I will explain maybe at a separate program. We want to focus on the crime here, but
the community patrol, with
the
community patrol, it never had borderlines. They moved the community patrol and create borderlines.
Let's go to the line. I know we don't want to go too far into other nuances, and that should be the subject of another program. But let's go ahead. Pleasant good night. Welcome, finally, Mr. Faizabad.
A pleasant good night to you, Uncle Lennox, COT, and all the listeners on the live. Share it live.
Good night to you, Faizabad. Yes, big brother.
Since you come on this program, Uncle Lennox said take him work all again. The internet is working. Here Steve there, here him there.
This is your program, man.
And then you drop the call, and you hang up the program.
This is your program.
You know why? Uncle Lennox talking about Patrick Manning and crime. But they see he leave out. It's Patrick Manning. Patrick Morgan Augustus Manning had the best set of crime wave underneath him. When Dosman used to be blowing up and blowing up people's foot. And people threatening him and holding him accountable to shake him, to give in to the criminality. And then he come out and he say, I know who is Mr. Big, you know. I know who is Mr. Big. Always surprised to know what I know. And then after, poor fella, Rowley doing Obia, public control, and he go on, he mash up Ito and he go on, poor fella. He didn't tell me who is Mr. Big. And who was the criminal going to be dustbin. But the nice thing about it, you see, we terminated from there, that's called the Interpolator, because Uncle Lennox bullying you, KFC, COP, and you bullied Uncle Lennox. But Patrick Manning got away with the prize, because he had the best set of criminality and criminal activity under he in the PNM. The birthplace of criminal activity. So, you see, I have to set the record straight. So when he talking, he know exactly what he say. That he have people out there listed and they will correct him. He want me that Mr. Faisal called and he listed. I wonder if he did, boy. So I called to tell him that here what's going on. So when they check it from then, right? Because when Basdeo Pandey came in, I'm sorry to say, the esteemed political leader, Mr. Basdeo Pandey, the Honorable, came into government with KDs, right? 1 to December. It was nice. He bring it down. He fight and he bring it down. He walked towards it. And what they do? They started to attack him ministers and they get drugs and guns and all kind of thing with the elements. Because why? You get to realize that running the country, right, is not to serve the people, is what the PNM had created. I'll leave it there for Uncle Lennox to interpret that part from it. Who is the PNM agenda? Have a good night, Uncle Lennox.
Thank you very much, my friend. Well, I'm glad that he mentioned that, because that was the other nuance or the other variable I was to bring into the into the discussion, and that is, what were some of these significant, memorable approaches under the PNM? We saw Patrick Manning, for example, entertaining these elements in Ambassador Hotel, for example. right? I could tell you, and I could call his name because he was living right in the lane, Smith Lane, where I born and grew in Laventille. I talk about Rennie Paul. And Rennie Paul came to my office because he almost grew up with us in our house when he didn't have anything to eat and so on. So I used to tell people, bad as they say Rennie Paul is, if I hit him a clout, he will never respond. That's to tell you the extent to which I had confidence that in spite of all his badness, they say that he killed someone, white in prison, he killed a prison officer, and we could go on and on. But he came to my office one day and told me, and I was appalled. Now, I will not condone a criminal. I will not tell a criminal, go ahead, because you grow up hard and so on, and crime is the way to go. No, I will not. And he too, he would have been the beneficiary of my admonition to move away from that kind of life. But he would explain in his own way why, of course, he got himself there. And of course, I have to pay a sympathetic air. It doesn't mean that I am condoning anything. But I want to tell you this. He told me in my office when we were in Maraval, listen, if I want an appointment with Patrick Manning, he could get it for me. You know what I say? I say, Rennie Paul told me that he could get an appointment for me with Patrick Manning if I'm so desired. And the fact that he could tell me that, and the fact that he could say it with some degree of assurance, well, you know, I would resist that and say, no. Because on principle, if you are a known element or part of the element that is creating the havoc in the country, why must I, even though I may have wanted to see Patrick Manning, have you be the conduit or the representative or the activist to make an appointment for me? I say I could do it on my own volition, because if he could do it, I could do it too. So there's no need for him, but of course he boasted and so on. But I'm making the point about Ambassador Hotel and about, of course, that particular incident. And we have seen, of course, the condoning of the criminal element in the URP, showing a blind eye to URP and so on. I want to tell you this. Many of you may not know that. But when URP was being, I should say, carved out, distributed from among or within the criminal heads and elements. And what I have to say here now, you could trace it. And if you were wrong, you could use your common sense. I'm talking along the east-west corridor. You had, of course, Guerra taking charge of Port of Spain. You had another element taking charge of Diego Martin, which is further west. And as you go up the corridor, you had Sean Francis taking charge of the office for Laventille and so on, but it was now being located in Crep, not Crep, but beyond Crep. On the Uriah Butler Highway. And then there was another taking charge of Tonopuna, and another taking charge of Arima, and another taking charge of Sangre Grande, and so on and so forth. That was the level of organization. That was the level. And at the time, I remember very distinctly, well, what the hell is going on here? Here it is, persons who could least lead are being given the opportunity to lead. Are being given the opportunity to lead with handsome resources that turned out to be even...
Lennox, you miss out that part. You miss out that part.
Well, you're going to tell me, let me just finish here. Even polluting our young girls, because they had the best cars, the best potential house, the best accommodation in terms of going to restaurants and so on, and the best girls. And I say, look at that. And many of them would have made children for these elements whose children, the children themselves, turned out to be gangsters and living a life of crime. And so the cycle continued. Tell me what I leave out.
You leave out the part when you sound good. When the gang members and them take over all the PNM electoral district.
Yes.
From the whole of the East-West corridor. That was the PNM, Diego Martin, Laventille, the 3 seats. That was PNM because the gang leaders take over all them. After, when they take over there, they shoot up a whole AGC development in Canada, in Laventille. It's about 4 or 5 high-story buildings. And after they shoot up that building and ensure nobody living over there, Patrick Manning carried them in the Hyatt and had meeting with them.
Oh yeah, I want to tell you that I was there. I was part of that, trying to look for solutions. But I don't want to go there yet because that's a community initiative that Manning.
You was the gang member. You was the gang member. You was looking for solutions.
Solutions, that's right. Yes.
You was looking for solutions. Them that control electoral district.
Yeah.
And had the privilege to call the prime minister then and say we want this and we want that.
Yeah.
And this person need this and this person, and we don't want the police come over here and make sure and tell national security, don't have the police them coming up in Canada and don't have them coming up on the hills up by the tank up there and don't go down Diego Martin. That is what they was doing.
Yeah. They were in fact, let me put a conclusion to this part of the discussion. They were in fact, and I saw it over and over, and I wonder, well, what is happening here? They were leveraging criminal behavior to get benefits on their own. And listen, I sat in meetings, and I hear, well, let me be specific, Sean Francis telling a government official, listen, if you do not provide X, Y, Z, we cannot guarantee that we could stop people from doing what you don't want them to do for you to look politically good. You know
yes.
Yes,
them condone
because they were that smart, they were that bright. I tell you, when Paul told me he will get a meeting with Patrick Manning for me, and I did not accept that because I couldn't accept it. Because why, if I am the activist, and the true developer, the true capacity builder, and I must go to you, who is the one that is contradicting or undermining my efforts to get a meeting with Patrick Manning, and Patrick Manning is the man who is supposed to be the overall provider in terms of controlling the state resources. Something is wrong. Something has to be wrong. Go ahead, my friend.
I hear Sean Francis. I did always I didn't like Sean Francis, not in the bad man thing, but because he's a call radio station and the Gladiator program and thing.
Yes.
I naturally hear them fellas and them say PNM MPs cannot come in the electoral district, so they have to pay the community electoral district.
Crime and criminality behavior, I'm telling you, they leverage it. And you have people like myself side by side with them in the same community, total respect. I remember, let me give you one instance with Sean Francis that I had that almost could have turned out to be different. Let me put it that way. A day, I think they shoot up a vehicle inside Caledonia. And I went on the newspaper saying that state resources, meaning URP resources, because Sean Francis was the manager up in Mova at the time, state resources must not be used to foment criminal activity. And that did upset a government minister. So at that time, my school was in Coconut Drive, and URP was providing the labor to not just to assist with the teachers, the financial, I'm talking about the financial resource to assist with the teachers, but also to clean around the premises and the compound. So the minister called me and said, Smith, but how you can make a statement like that? Well, if it's so, gangsters can't clean yard and can't clean the compound and so on. So I turned and told the minister, listen, it's not me, it's what the people. He said, Smith, don't give me that stupid talk. I know it's you, right? So I didn't pay it any mind. So I went up to the URP office where Sean Francis was the manager. So he met me by the gate. He said, Smith, you have real belly to come here? I said, what do you mean? He said he got instructions to discontinue the gang that was working in the school compound, etc. So one time I became a victim of speaking the truth and attempting to address the problem by bringing it in the public domain. But those political elements at the time didn't want it to come out in the public domain. So as a result, my school became a victim of the lack of, or the pullback, or the taking away, or the discontinuance of that assistance. So I called Sean Francis. I remember it very distinctly, and there was a southern wall, a wall that separated, I think, the fire station from the URP office. And I went very quietly and I said, Sean, come. And one thing, they respect me, I could say that, whether it be Wendy Paul, any one of them.
Yes, no, I hear that on the radio.
Yeah, so I call him.
Since Gladiator time.
Yes, Gladiator, that's right. So I call him. I say, listen, if I make a statement like that, Lennox, would make a statement like that, yes, I understand how upset the political directorate will be. But what I'm really saying is that it ain't have enough. You are not getting enough resources to share, and that is why these conflicts and these incidents will take place. So don't ever see me as your enemy, and don't ever take what the politicians say. We must be at the next level. So whilst I am doing my part to assist you in trying to get more resources, more people to work, more financial assistance, etc., and more jobs, more gangs, you must understand that we come from the same place, and therefore we cannot be enemies. And you know something? His whole demeanor changed when I told him that, because he couldn't see the statement I made about the violent shooting up of a vehicle in Caledonia, and the minister at the time giving him instructions to discontinue any association of URP with the MLIO program, the trade school in Caledonia. And you know, after that we became even more friendly with each other, because he understood now that level at which I am pitching the argument for more resources coming to the community, he realized that it would benefit him, benefit his own cause, whether it be to facilitate other gang members or whatever it is, it doesn't matter, but it will benefit him. And that is how I was able to resolve that. There are other instances during the course of the program. Other program I'm talking about, I will tell you, because it has to be said. You see, because I don't want the UNC and the Honorable Prime Minister and those who are now at the helm of Trinidad and Tobago's business to believe that they know it all, and that the panacea that they are providing ought to be. I remember very distinctly an official of the URP program was very upset. Was very, I would say, appalled that, listen, how a person could be taking money from people when they get paid, from that little bit of money, when they get paid, How people could be doing that? That is barbaric, that is animalistic, and so on and so on. And then I told that person, I say, sit down, let me tell you something. What you are concerning yourself with is considered to be functional and appropriate in a place like Laventille, East Port of Spain, Beetham, etc. You see, the fella who bringing in the list, he too ain't walking no way. And there is an unwritten agreement that if he is prepared to go around every neighborhood, take up the list to form the gang, eventually the gang will get paid. But he has to deliver it. They know that they had to give him something because he ain't walking. So that is functional. Don't get tied up with that. Don't say that is appalling and so. No, that is an understanding. You know why? Because the person who don't have to submit their own name, don't have to pay passage to go down to town or where the office is to think and fight up with other people to submit their own names. Them people glad because usually they're working somewhere else too, and therefore that person whose job it is to just bring those names, there is the understanding that they will get something too. So don't get vexed when you hear that a fella getting $100 out of the $500 that they may be getting, or $700 as a laborer. Don't get vexed. No, don't get involved in that. Show a blind eye to that. That is the point I am making to this government. They do not understand the socio-economic and psycho-cultural dynamics that exist, that has created what we are now attempting to address. And it cannot be just looking at it from the surface and say, listen, people are corrupt, people have corrupted the system, etc., getting more than their fair share, etc., because there are excusable elements within. And if you could find a mechanism where the person who is to get the job can come directly and get the job easily, and their monies, then their monies will not be interfered with, or put another way, they would not have to engage in any kind of relationship with the intermediary that is from the community, and who he or she themselves will be dependent on that program. And usually, remember, it's only 3 fortnights you could get officially. So that person usually will be out of work but continues to get work because he is catered for everybody else. That is a simple reality that many of them don't know. And I thought is on this program we have a duty in order to make certain that the government remains in office, because it's the only salvation for Trinidad and Tobago, the UNC, its philosophy, and of course having a prime minister. And I don't think that anybody else replacing Kamala Persad-Bissessar will think differently, because that is the underpinning and the basis for the emergence of the UNC over the years and over its various incarnations as a political entity seeking to manage the affairs of Trinidad and Tobago. COP.
I agree with you full 100%. But I want to say this.
Go ahead.
I intend to speak. I intend to speak my mind. I intend to show support to this administration. You see, especially with what they say, they look at in the first quarter, the first 5 years quarter, they look at the raise $3.something billion.
Yes.
Lennox. I give them full 100% support, and I'm supporting them going die hard with that. But I don't intend to campaign to keep our government in power without support. I don't intend to do that. I'm not coming on a radio and a program and campaigning to keep our government in power when I already campaigned for 10 years to put them in office. I want to see equilibrium. I will give them the full 100 support, but give us support. Give us support.
Yeah, it must be reciprocated. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it must be balanced. Yes.
And I want to talk Francomen too. this program need your support for me to say the things I have to say to motivate, encourage, and inspire the 14-year-old boy, the 15-year-old boy that we're watching right now for 2030. This program needs support. Um, what Mighty K, I always learn this from Mighty K. Okay. It need equilibrium. Mighty K, good night to you. Mighty K, good night to you. So, equilibrium. I say yes. So, PNM create all the I say yes. The PNM create all the destruction. We make a 360 turn and kick out the PNM and we put the coalition of interest. I want to see the coalition of interest leaders get the opportunity for the electoral district. And I'm talking in syllables because I don't want to come out and say what I want to say, but I just saying I do intend to come over here from Monday to Thursday and support 100% without support.
Without reciprocated support, right? Without being supported, without being supported as well.
Yes,
right? Okay.
yes. It called grateful, being grateful. Without support, it called ungrateful. With the equilibrium part in it, you support me, I support you. I support your organization, you support our program. You have full 100% support by me. And you have all the words to come out from me to give your organization support. Right now, I give point up here, full 100% support. And I will say the things I have to say for point up here. And for we to take that San Fernando City Corporation. But
yeah, because we want to take Port of Spain Corporation, so we are the same page. Let's go to Granny. Good night, Granny. Welcome.
Giaulet, good night to you.
Good night. I listen for your program.
Granny, good night to you, Granny.
Very good program.
Thank you.
All you really want to see Trinidad go better.
Yes.
All you want to see the youth life go better.
Yes.
I myself too, it could be way. It could even like Trinidad have bad youth. You believe that in the Indian community I have a fuck that is smoke weed. The eye gone in, some of them, for it come out. But I will tell you something. Parenting have a lot to do with helping children. I telling you it, I was a single parent, you know.
Yes.
And I had it hard with my small daughter. I wasn't that what I was. No police can tell me, don't use the whip, you know. They couldn't tell me. My small daughter friend, father was a superintendent. So the children thanking for the work. You know?
Yes.
But that's wrong. You see, a mother in a house. Now these young girls, they're making children 1, 2, 3, and they're training none. You have to work. You have to do your housework. You have to take up the children as a woman. You always wait on the man and see your children do their homework. See the company they keep. Have them planting something. Have them doing work. Wash your clothes. You understand? So they must always occupy themselves with something. And when they hear they have a holiday, let them go and do something for a little cheap money. You understand?
Yeah.
And let them do a trade. Trade have more money than anything. A mother have a lot to do the house and you go and take a $300 day home, put on a short pants, you dancing there, you jumping there. You have to help the man in that position. You understand? Because I was a single parent all the time, and I know how to budget my thing, and I know how to plan something that I could get, and I have them doing things. You understand? And if I go to the supermarket with them, people who can buy and they have good jobs, making sure we can do that. We have to watch the budget because we are going to ask nobody for nothing. You have to live with principles and you have to live with character. So parents then have a lot to do with Mr. Lennox with. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And of course, that will be another topic we can expatiate upon. The whole question of parental responsibility and so on, because I want to tell you too, there's nothing new to say is under the sun, because I have been advocating that, from time immemorial. I can't even remember. I have a document on it. We did all the research when I came back from the United States in 1999, thereabout. When I went I lectured at the American University in Washington, and then I met a think tank group in New York, Dr. Gatti James and others, and we sat around a table, and we developed, of course, what is called the empowerment zone concept, and inclusive in that would have been the parental responsibility legislation, which I pushed, and I am very pleased to see that an element of it is now being pursued by the present government. I hope that the final product will be one where consistent with what I have been advocating, but we wait and see. Professor, good night, welcome.
Good night, teacher Lennox and my brother COP. I want to endorse what COP said earlier on when he was talking about. We're not fighting to keep a government in power. We were fighting for the last 9 years plus to get rid of the last regime.
Yes.
Kim, so you like to fight, so?
Well, plan this and thing. We was planting for the last 9 years.
Yeah.
We want the benefit of the crop now.
Yes.
Look, we have a program to entertain and educate the younger generation, and we hold up phone. We talking problems. We get no internet service. I want them Southwestern listening, my partner. You know, he had the minister, he's on the constituency.
Yeah, well, I'm sure all are listening, because information you're getting on this program, you get it nowhere else.
We have to be begging and crying like dog with Lennox.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, too loyal, blessed.
Yeah. Right, man, yes. No, he made a very valid point that loyalty cannot be so blind, so excessive, so sturdy and committed.
Unity
conscious of nothing else. Because remember, it takes money to run this program. If you come in here, you would see televisions, you will see, of course, computers, etc., fans and air conditioning and so on. We have not yet been able to put in. So, and we need some, of course, upgrading of the entire building itself. So the little that I have access to is being expended there, just as how the little you have is also being expended to make certain that you carry on the program at your end, because electricity, computers, etc. That's the only how the technology will be able to make it possible for this to happen.
Yeah, bills.
Yes.
Yeah, bills when the month up.
And it is fair to say that against the background that the government that is now in office, it has control of the resources, financial and otherwise, of the country. More so, the political leader and the titular and the ledger head of the government, I'm talking about the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, did make mention that there is room for all. Of course, nobody expects by the wave of a wand. That could only be magic. In human circumstance, there are times, there are processes, there is need for patience, there is need for timing, and in the fullness of time, however, all must be equitably treated according to their contribution and ability. Let us not waste time. And there are some who would be at a higher level of contribution than others. But the fact is that the Prime Minister would have made that bold and I want to say believable statement that we must, when there is a deviation, an apparent deviation, we must make it known, because there are those who may not be so, let's say, agreeable, not so agreeable, and they therefore would want to keep certain elements out. Our job is to make certain that every single contributor to this effort of moving Trinidad and Tobago forward, first by winning the elections, and secondly by remaining in office and executing policies, programs, and initiatives, must be uppermost in everybody's mind. I thought that was critical.
And while you're in office now, you show appreciation.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the sharing is the appreciation.
Yes.
The sharing, the ultimate equitable and reasonable and fair and just sharing is what is required. But I want to put in a plug for those who specialize in a particular area. I want to caution the government and ministers in particular and so on. Do not wait until half the term. Those who can contribute to the crime situation in terms of anti-crime initiatives, experience, know-how, and so on, you have a duty to reach out to them, not they reach out to you. You cannot now believe that you are on a pedestal and therefore you have all the solutions, when in fact Rome is burning and there is things crumbling around you, but yet still you are in the illusion and the delusion that somehow you are doing well because some quarter or some close person who otherwise you couldn't see them when things was bad in opposition, but now you're seeing them and they're giving you advice, and you're so gullible that you tell yourself, coming from them, because they know you and you know them, that they really have your ultimate interest. I want to say it is easy to objectively analyze anyone to determine whether or not they have the credentials to serve at various levels based on their capacity and your own knowledge of them, because there are those who have been very, very visible and there are others who have been invisible. Who you would take? Who you would prefer? Not those visible ones as opposed to the invisible, because the invisible, you're not sure, but you're sure about the visible ones. That's all I'm saying. That's the admonition I will give to everyone in the government of Trinidad and Tobago today. Somebody told me recently, COP, well, Lennox, wait now. What is happening here? And it had me thinking. Listen, your candidate got over 3,000 votes in Laventille East movement as part of the coalition. In Laventille West, the UNC candidate got just over 2,000. 3,000, more than 3,000 Laventille East. 2,000 Laventille West. Just over 2,000 in Port of Spain South, where we are located here now. But more significantly, the point they were making, in Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, where Philip Alexander, the current minister in the Ministry of Housing, got just above 2,000 votes. Nearly a whole 1,000 less than my candidate, in other words, in Laventille East movement. Yet still look where he is as opposed to you. That is what they come and tell me. And I had to think. And of course, your party, Love, is part of the coalition of interest. I leave it there. I
want to comment on that. I want to comment on that. I want to say my part on that. I give is Alexander? Yeah, I give you full 100% support, Philip. Full 100% support. and he positioned he have full 100% support. But love, in the coalition of interest, out of all the electorate and them that gone up, especially in the PNM areas, the love get more votes than the Edward Alexander party and all the other opposition and them. Your party get more votes than all the other parties have in the coalition of interest, especially in these PNM areas and them. And the only political party that again no opportunity with the most amount of vote in those areas is Love. Is the Love Party. Why? Why, honorable ministers? Why leaders of the coalition of interest? Why? How come we keep a blind eye to that and nobody say why? Nobody asks a question why? Why it is all the callers and listeners ask a question and say why? How come that could be? How come all the other political parties them get the opportunities? Remember, if given the opportunity in life, success comes. The denial of opportunity is the worst position to be in. Why? Why leaders? Where the opportunity for the Love? Why it is the political leader of Love can't send 5 names to get work opportunity? Can't send 50 names to get hampers for Christmas, for Mother's Day, for all the other holidays? Why? Why? Some of them outside they will vex when I say these things. But these are the things that we have to speak. The things that offend the needy. We have to speak about it. And I will just ask, why? What holding back Lennox Smith from getting the opportunity to take the constituency from the PNM? If Love get 3,000 votes for the first time in the history of electoral politics in these areas, that is success. That is a start. That is a start. What happened? In 2 years and 3 years' time, Olido wanted to grow to 9,000. Olido wanted to grow to 15,000 for the 2030 election. The only way it will grow is by giving opportunity so that Lennox can give opportunity. When you give opportunity, you build confidence, you motivate the people more, you inspire the people more to wear the UNC jersey proudly in those areas of them. But if the people them can't get opportunity, why is we own party in power, especially in these areas and them? You confuse the people. The people start to quarrel. The people want to say we have no confidence. Let me tell you something, Lennox. A poor man rather $800 a fortnight, $900 a fortnight, $1,200 a fortnight, rather than none. Rather than none. I think that they should do better than that. But what we need to do is to start to write letters. We need to walk and not walk. I'll pick you up to where you drive. We need to go in minister's office now. That's what we need to do. We're not going to be rude. We're going to show support to our leaders. But it's sad. Nadia, good night to you. Jiolet, good night to you. Rajendra Maharaj, good night to you. Bas, good night to you. Anderson from the Beatam, good night to you. Take the caller.
You finished? Because I have a caller.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, take the caller.
I think I know you haven't said what you said. I have to add some more information of the observation of persons, because you raised some very, what I consider nettlesome points that I need to emphasize upon. Good night. Good night.
Hello?
Yeah, good night. Good night. Go ahead.
You know that every time the chips are... The man Lennox, you know that every time the chips and them when they come and talking your mind and they're talking real.
Yeah.
Lennox, them don't love you. But tell you they change your part, but tell you they change the name, them don't love you, because all I love you show for all our donkey years. You as a man in the East-West corridor, you motivate people to go there and vote and this and that, set up a candidate. Then we give you about 10, 15 names to give people you know who give you that support. Fellas, Ali, Christmas, all them kind of things, they're not giving you no set a little hamper to distribute to the parliament in the East-West corridor there. 1,000 people coming in and all by you, Lennox, you doing up letters, you doing this, you doing that. You are not good provider internet service. I'm voting for you, because I know the kind of heart you have, the kind of love you have in that community there. And people are depending on you. You take your last and say, yeah, man, at $20, at $10 and go and buy a bread, and you don't have nothing. You fight and support. People will fight and support. I say the worst about the UNC getting opportunities and sitting in parliament and getting big work and all them kind of thing. When they talk so, they say use a PNN and all that kind of thing. Me come on the field, people don't want to like me because it's a political game. It's nasty and stink. Because when they're too loyal, this, well, it looks like God.
Yeah, my friend. All right, but it must be said, COP. Yeah.
Plus, no, they like it again, you know. And it's about Asian minister,
I hear you. All right, my friend. Yeah. It must be said, though, that all is not lost. I had to tell the person who made that observation about the electoral numbers and the comparative and the relationship he drew with opportunities. I want to say this, that the person who contested, we just call him Palmer, the man who I selected to contest the Laverton East Mover, he is on the board of the Rural Development Corporation. So he's on the board. So he's a board member. He's a board member. He's a director. I want to say as well that initially, when the issue came up and it was either brought to or it attracted the attention of the Honorable Prime Minister, she did call me and said that I got the impression that I probably was the only person who didn't say what he wanted. So I did tell her what I wanted eventually, and she gave me certain instructions. So I want to put that on the table. I also did what she instructed, and that is before a particular minister, but it's supposed to be two ministers, and that has been so for over a year. Yeah. But one cannot, as the individual who approached me said, he cannot take away, he cannot obfuscate, he cannot fathom. Because here it is, that the other members of the coalition got what they wanted. The PSA got the 10%. The OWTU is getting is on their way to the oil refinery. And yet still, love is in limbo. That's the observation. More than that, when I approached the UNC and the executive and in meetings, I said, because there was a recommendation that I should contest the elections, but I said that I am better suited to monitor all the constituencies connected to Laventille. So Laventille East, Laventille West, Laventille, Port au Prince South. Those are the three constituencies that we focus and have always been focused on and created love for that purpose. Laventille outreach for vertical enrichment. That is what love means. So we focus, so we consider ourselves a regional party. And I think coming out from what is happening now, the approaches from Mova, from Beetham, from Sealats, from Chumakak, from on the hill, from Port au Prince East, is that, Mr. Smith, but it's because of you we voted, you know. And now that we are looking forward to some kind of amelioration, here it is, you are telling me, you are telling us that to hold on still. Telling us to hold on still after a year and more. Telling us to hold on still. Now, hold on still does not mean that you are going to get, when the valve begins to flow, all what you want at the same time. But what I gather from these inquiries, these concerns, these interrogations, is that at least you should have something to give us. We came and we registered at your resource center, the only one in the country. Immediately after the 28th of April, we set up that here, computer-generated, assisted, over 1,000 names. I could deliver it to any official of the government. Yet still, a year pending, none of those potentials have materialized. So I want to say that while patience is a virtue, while one has to wait his turn, there is a limited shelf life for tolerance. That is a statement for the wise. Because you will get no resistance whatsoever from Lennox Smith. But those who are sitting on the fence or the outskirts, on the periphery and looking in, and then I have to make the truthful statement as I have and will do to whosoever asks. You cannot determine what they will do. I know me, and I've committed myself in a particular way to the UNC coalition of interests, that we will be there if everybody else walk out. You know what I say? I say very early in the game, we said that we will be there if and when everybody else walk out. And we'll be there to criticize them as well as being betrayers. That is the commitment we made. A solemn commitment, a verbal commitment, not in writing. I said it in front of the party hefe of the UNC when we were talking initially. And I am committed to that. But it cannot be that you would expect me to influence indefinitely certain elements who in their own consciousness and their own assessment see that something is wrong and decides to take action. I have no control over that, except to say, hold on, things are tough now, but I expect because of X, Y, Z. Right? The economy looks good. By the middle of next year, I expect the rolling out, and things should be changing. But in terms of policies, programs, and the need for a person like myself to be involved in the sociological transformation addressing young people, in particular crime, criminality, and gravitating to gangs, borderlines, and all of the factors that would have created the presence, the too often presence of SOEs. I think it's a decision, a position that the political directorate must take. There could be no one better suited to treat with that problem, having regard to the track record, having regard to what is known, than Lennox Smith. I make no boast about it, but it is a fact. No one has done what I have. And in the coming weeks, you will see that unique, that quintessential disposition manifesting itself in various ways. Because I am concerned that here it is, this report that we talk about. I'm going to play it for those who just joined us, coming out from the UK. And prior to that, I spoke of the advisories coming out from these countries that mentioned Laventille, East Port of Spain, Nelson Street. And somebody asked today on the ground report, why is there so much emphasis on Laventille, East Port of Spain, Beetham, Sealats, Belmont, etc.? And are these communities more superior, in other words, better than any other country or any other community in the country? Or put another way, why give so much emphasis here and de-emphasis elsewhere? And I had to tell them the honest reality is that no other community in Trinidad and Tobago, let me repeat, no other community in Trinidad and Tobago has been mentioned in the advisories, whether in the United States, Canada, Europe, any European country, than these communities. If you go there now, you would see that don't go to Trinidad. But if you do go, do not go to Nelson Street, do not go to East Port of Spain, do not go to Laventille. I ain't hear Barrackpore, I ain't hear Tobago, I ain't hear Guayari, I ain't hear Tonopuna, I ain't hear Sangre Grande. But Nelson Street, Laventille, so there is an imperative of the state, the government, to focus
a constitutional
on
responsibility.
That. Yes, neutralize that, and to make certain that we get Trinidad and Tobago's advisory clear of these names so that we can continue to strive in the way that the government has prescribed and is focused. Let's go to the line. Pleasant good night. Oh, let me see. Let's see what's happening here.
Lennox, from 2010 to 2015, it never had a U.S. report like that, you know.
Yes, of course, it never had that. We have it now. So we have to treat with that. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yeah. COP, you keep asking the question, why hasn't Lennox been rewarded?
As yet.
The leadership of the coalition is afraid
Not
that
rewarded. Not rewarded.
Treasury in Laventille. I mean, it's the most unfortunate statement for him to be making. And they probably cringe at the idea of putting him in any position where he's involved in any program. Because such a statement is really, not the kind of statement you expect from someone who is thinking nationally.
In your view, let me dialogue with you.
Let me finish. We need a let me finish. Finish, sir? All right, okay.
And even if
No, I want to dialogue with you,
even if they don't mean it literally, I mean, it's not the kind of statement that you make publicly because a lot of people misinterpret it.
like I probably have.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. COP,
He
I'll give
should
you an
he should
opportunity.
misinterpret that. When you say that you go empty the treasury in Laventille, you know the finance minister. We're not speaking about that. You could never empty the treasury in Laventille. But I want to ask him if he believe you supposed to get you should get an opportunity already from this administration. None of them like the shame to say that. Unity is strength. Strength is the power. If you don't have that power, you will never unite together. You must unite. So all of you that listening to Lennox Smith, I listening to Lennox Smith 30 years now. And I saw many of you listening to Lennox 25, 27, 30 years. And Lennox Smith supporting the United National Congress. You all don't believe that Love organization should get opportunity already? You all don't believe that? Why does you all just breaks in? How much PNM people get opportunity? Look, all the loving the PNM activists and them who are talk show program now. It had talk show programs in this country from foreign called the African diaspora to speak on behalf of African people in the East-West corridor. The open program to support the PNM. 6 weeks before election, them become UNC and all of them love them. All of them love them now. And turning on the back on the people them who support for 30 years. Shame to say, yes, Lennox Smith should get the opportunity already. But proud to say, the African diaspora that look like Dosti Roti now should proud to say, yes, them should get opportunity. So why them should get opportunity 6 weeks before being a UNC and a 30-year-old activist all ashamed to say that he had to get opportunity?
All right.
Like the hypocrisy I can't take with all you.
I sympathize with your anger, but let's go to the
I'm
line.
not vexed. Now you want to speak.
President, good night. Welcome.
It's the gladiator that's come out here.
Yes.
To answer COP, while what you are saying might be reasonable, that Lennox should be given the opportunity, I am trying to explain to you why it is he has not been given the opportunity.
And we concur.
That's a poor explicit.
Yeah, we
That's
concur.
a poor excuse.
Thanks very much. Yes, we concur. All right. Let me say this. Thank you, COP. Thank you, COP. But I think
them just go on the African diaspora and say, God bless you.
Yeah, yeah.
6 weeks before UNC, and just tell them, God bless them.
Yeah. But I'm sufficiently qualified to respond to that. You see, the argument that the caller made is flawed to the extreme from the perspective that I have been saying that before I became incorporated into the UNC Coalition of Interests. Let me repeat. I said that my statement that I would, if I get the opportunity, empty the treasury in Laventille, I have been saying that long before I was incorporated into the UNC and coalition. In other words, I'm saying that if that was the singular or the major, for that matter, impediment to the delay, I'm not saying that there's none, the delay, because I just explained something there, then I ought not to be at all engaged by the coalition members and by the UNC, the major partner in the entire arrangement. So let's get that clear. But his statement reminds me of an argument that Umbala made sometime when he was alive, of course, and I was on his program, because it is filled with his oceans.
Patricia Real, good night to you, Patricia Real.
Makes the reason even more plausible.
You know, how it makes it more plausible when I was saying before. If you know, then it means therefore the plausibility here is that is a justification to keep me out of the coalition, my friend. Your logic does not comprehend, right, my friend? It does not concur.
In the heart,
it is
in the heart, they don't want to see any opportunity. In the heart.
So let me. Oh, he keeps calling back, but let me entertain him. Go ahead. Yeah. You're saying? Yeah, you are saying?
I want to tell our caller,
Oh.
put in contribution anymore, keep putting nuts. You qualify and you deserve to sit on a board, not on a board, somewhere in the parliament, somewhere, because you fight and toy for the UNC. So caller, we want to hear you with your nonsense.
And he loved them PNM, he loved all them PNM talk show program and them who become UNC.
I mean, it defies logic. If I am consistent with that, and that is the impediment for not delivery. But let's be realistic and let's not be.
Lennox, but they should empty the treasury in Lavantel. They should empty the treasury in all them PNM constituencies.
Right.
They need it.
Let's not be.
They don't have school.
Yeah.
It don't have no school. It don't have no community center. It don't have no education facilities. It lacking a sport in facilities. It lacking plenty.
Yeah. Okay. See, yeah. You see, I have always argued that if they ignore Lavantil and these communities, they do it at their own detriment. That is manifesting itself today. Let's not waste. Who you think, by and large, that SOE has been engendered, or the genesis of it? I talk about the reasoning, the rationale came from. It was a gunfight, if you want to call that, outside the Besson Street police station, smack in the middle of his etc.
Let me just say this.
So we know what that is. But go ahead.
Human being was not designed to turn the back on vulnerable community. Human being was designed to face vulnerable community and find solution for people in need. That is what we was designed for. We wasn't designed to play politics and keep a blind eye to vulnerable community.
Yeah.
Wicked people do those things.
I want to tell you, Kusiopi is after 10, so we have to go in a while. We started late, so I'll give them a little thing.
No, we'll just go another 10 minutes.
Yeah. But I want to say this. That not only it is asinine to think that if I was saying it before is more the reason not to not to give anything, but it is not a matter of not giving. But I want to give the example with Umbala before I go further, because you see, he sounds much like Umbala's assertion to me. Umbala was posed with the question at the time, why it is that Panton was getting more resources than Lennox Smith. So this is not the first time that has been happening, right? So Umbala took it upon himself to give a response just as this caller. He said, listen, Panton walks Lavantil, walk down the streets of Lavantil, walk down the hill of Lavantil. And that is why, according to Umbala, why he got more resources than Lennox Smith to treat with the same population than Lennox Smith. So here my response to Umbala. Well, if he does walk Lavantil, I don't sleep there. Oh, how come he ain't getting? How come he? So it's clear that there's more in the mortar than the person. That's the point I am making. And the thing about it is that it's because there are certain elements outside of the inner circle probably, or within the inner circle, that are seeing some kind of threat. Because I'm going to tell you something. When Basio Pandey appointed me a senator, a temporary senator, whilst the UNC was in government, when I completed my presentation off the cuff, one time involved in the debate, the senators that were there from the UNC, because remember, UNC could only have 6 senators in opposition, or any opposition, in fact, in this country, as is the case with the present one, that is PNM, 6 senators. You know what? They took me, I had the oldest car there, they took me in the car and dropped me home, and they were telling me, listen, Smith, we want a man like you inside of there. Why? Because they say, the senator that was talking to me, she said that she waited about 3 or 4 or 5 sessions before she could come up, she could stand up and say one iota, one word in the parliament. And here it is, you now come. And you was able, of course, to treat with the matter not being briefed, because it was, I can remember the topic very well. It was that of wastewater separation from the water winning, the drinking water winning operations of WASA. So I had to speak to that. And of course, the opposition was saying that it ought not to be, they should continue, and of course there were other factors. And I spoke to that off the cuff. And so she told me that they're going to advocate to the leader, Bazio Pandey, to have me as a regular feature there. I'm going to tell you something, it might ruffle a little feathers.
Because they recognize the work you do in the area.
I think it's going to ruffle a little feathers, and for the first time I'll be saying this, even though we worked very closely, even in the elections. On the second occasion, when I had to attend the parliament, I replaced, of course, the present president of the Senate, Wade Mark, at the time. And I was called by Bazio Pandey to pay another attendance to the parliament on the second stint. Guess what? By the time I reached the parliament, Wayne Mark was in the parliament. And the reason why they asked me to attend is because Wayne Mark had gone to the area of the world where I think it was swine flu was prominent. So that's going to be East Asia, somewhere there. He went on his absence in the country, and therefore the parliament at that time. So therefore the possibility that he may contract or may be a risk to the parliament, and therefore one expects that he would have spent some time outside of the parliament. But he was most present. And then we learned that is as a result of certain things that he, of course, presented himself there, risking, as some people would have said, the health of the entire parliament. I say no more. He does. The first time I'm talking that, he doesn't know that I know that. He doesn't know that that was told to me. But I'm the kind of fellow will not confront a man. But I would have thought that if I got an opportunity, an ordinary fellow from Laventille, in that way, then if I was him, and even though I may felt that I should resume my position, the fact that the party called me and said, Lennox, go, then it's no big thing to stay away for just one session. But that did not happen. That did not happen. And of course, there are a lot of debate among us here, because we have a think tank, contrary to most people thinking, as to why that occurred. I say that to say, finally, that what a meteor in pasture 1, 2, there are moves afoot to rectify or to equalize or to justify an injustice that some people say is taking place. And let me say this, as constant as the Northern Star and as immutable as a cent, bet your bottom dollar Lennox Smith will be where he ought to be, because you see, ability is ability. There's nothing you could wish, you could dream. Ability. The only thing to stop Lennox Smith from getting his just due is if he dies.
Yes, Lennox. But
ability. About ability, you cannot stop that. They could do what, and let me tell you, there are more I could talk about, in terms of the lead up and the last day meeting. I just wanted to leave you with this. I was to speak first on the instructions of the Honorable now Prime Minister and political leader then of the opposition and leader of the UNC. I was on her instruction. I was to talk first, but there were orchestrations to leave me out all entirely. So I want to tell the caller, I know that he's an avid critic of me, and I have no difficulty with that. I can respond appropriately. I want to tell him that always remember, if you recognize, for example, he say, I's a good teacher, but I'm not a good comprehender. I don't know how he come up with that, how one is distinct from the other. But I want to say this. I've been there. I've done that. I know what to do. And you see, time, the old people have a saying, time longer than twine. But there is a shelf life before action is taken so that one can, of course, manifest his or her just due. I say no more. COP, what's your closing remarks?
You see, every action, there's a reaction.
Yeah.
And you use a word there, ability. And that is a strong word. But I want you to know that ability without opportunity, ability is nothing. It's just your knowledge. Basdeo Pandey recognize your ability and he give you the opportunity. I want to go further with it over there, but I will just ask, with the ability that Lennox Smith have, where is the opportunity?
It is, I beg in, it is.
Well, no, let me finish saying what I'm saying now.
Sorry. I told you Max.
Let me just finish saying what I'm saying now.
Go ahead.
Where is the opportunity for Lennox Smith ability? I will just be sarcastic and say what they say? Better days are coming. Good things come for those who wait, who have patience.
Well said, my friend.
I want to say good night to all the listeners and viewers, each and everyone that looked on to the Corridor Transformation.
Up to 11 minutes past 10 o'clock. Just imagine that.
Thanks for that. Nadia, good night to you. Good night, J. Howlett, you always, from day one, you're locked on over here, always telling the people, share the life, share it, spread the word that the Corridor Transformation is on with Lennox Smith and Mr. COP. Thanks for that. To all of you on the chat, I know some of you don't like me, but I don't expect everybody to like me because I know everybody don't have good taste.
Yes.
Everybody don't have good taste. I can understand that. I have not with all you. All of you that love me 30 years ago, all you support me. Now, all the little bias, a little bit die, not me vex it all you for that. All you have chat. The ones who I don't like when all you read, when I see all you, I know what to do. I know how to just delete all you and not to carry on, no talk with all you. I know how to do them things.
Yes,
so
man.
Love you guys and all stay blessed, stay safe, and know that the Corridor Transformation is on.
Yes,
not for me and Lennox Smith, but for the viewers of the Corridor Transformation and in support of the collision of interest.
Yes,
remember that.
Yes, and I will. It will be remiss of me if I don't reiterate that. If I get the chance, I empty the treasury in Lavatil
You should.
Just to irritate. Just to irritate the caller who said that has prohibited me from getting opportunities. But I want to also say that that is a figurative expression. That is a manner of speaking. And realistically, one does. And I think the caller recognized that as well. But he tried to generate a square peg in round hole argument that really has no basis in reality. So that being as a bit, of course, let me just, for those who just joined us, let me just play a piece of the document that came out from the UK that engendered this discussion tonight. So we leave with a perspective that is consistent with the intent tonight.
UK flags TNT gangs. Official report suggests 186 criminal networks responsible for one-third of this country's murders. Analysts warn it could hurt asylum/visa chances for nationals. By Jensen Lavend and Doris Polo. International Relations lecturer at the University of the West Indies Dr. Michael Pawinski believes the latest report from the United Kingdom on gangs in Trinidad and Tobago places the country in a negative light. Pawinski said yesterday that this report, coupled with last year's visa restrictions imposed on the country after the number of asylum seekers to the UK grew exponentially, does not help the country's image. The report was published on June 5 by UK Visas and Immigration as part of its Country Policy and Information Note series and was designed primarily to assist British officials in evaluating asylum applications. According to the report, criminal gangs remain heavily concentrated in economically disadvantaged urban communities, particularly in and around Port of Spain and along the east-west corridor. The assessment estimates that approximately 186 gangs were operating in TNT as of 2023 with a combined membership of around 1,750 members. It linked those organized criminal groups to roughly one-third of all murders and involvement in a wide range of criminal activities including kidnappings, armed robberies, extortion, human trafficking and the illegal firearms trade.
I don't think we need to go further because that is what we are grappling with under an SOE and the purpose for an SOE. But let's also, of course, before we leave, see what the solution was under the PNM that had more opportunities to, of course, solve the problem, one, and two, what they had to say with respect, of course, to their abandonment, if not putting up, surrendering to the criminal elements. And this is what former Prime Minister Dr. Rowley had to say.
Accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We're taking the advice from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. People of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe. Right now, the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element, but you hold the government accountable. Budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element. We are losing the war against the criminal element, but you hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We're taking the advice from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do.
Well, of course, we had enough of what they would have done from a simple statement like that to crime being, of course, a public health issue. And when a fella point a gun at you and fire it, all you have to do is to look for a pharmacy and get some kind of medicine in order to stop that bullet from killing you. I suppose that is how I interpret it. Such is the ridiculousness of that statement when they realize that all they could think of has gone. But of course, now that the new government is in place, as he taunted the population to do, and they did, of course, on the 28th of April last year, he taunted them, they kicked them out. Now, the new crop, the 13 of them, are attempting to say that they have the panacea. I mean, how more ridiculous and insane can you be? I mean, it is a sense of cognitive, cerebral, and intellectual, not just dishonesty, but I think you are in a state of decline intellectually to come up with that kind of notion and expect reasonable thinking people to believe that somehow the PNM can solve this problem. That being as it may people.
Let me just say something here now before you go.
Yeah, go ahead quickly.
I want to say to J. Howlett, the person who come up with that slogan is people like that who have this country like that. That person was a PNM for 55 years. They're supposed to be saying is people like me, is people like the African diaspora that support the PNM for 55 years have the country like that. That is what they're supposed to be saying, J. Howlett. It's them, Wall Street and them, that have the PNM constituency and the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago in the position that it's in today. Wall Street and them have this country like that. For 55 years, them support the PNM. All the nonsense, all the wrongdoings, all the cookery. You see, he cried the other day on the program because he got up in the constituency and the seat dilapidated. That is what them was supporting for 55 years and playing UNC now. You not know UNC, but you can't be no those two.
I know, we have enough and more to say about that and other issues. People, don't forget, of course, that tomorrow morning, the Ground Report, Andy and myself, of course, from 8 to 9 a.m., of course, that's on Talk City 91.1. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. It was wonderful, really, really wonderful and enlightening tonight. And notice, we did not get any interruptions, which, of course, shows that the technical people that we deploy.
No, it shows that the little funds that you have, you're utilizing it. That is what they show. The little funds that you have, you're utilizing it to show support for the collision of interest. That is what you're doing.
I say no more. Yes, indeed.
Take that.
Today, when I look around in the world, what do I see? I see footprints that man have left on the sand while walking through time. I see fruits of our ambition, figment of our imagination, and I ask myself, when will it end? When will it end? It is plain to see, universally this land is not bountiful as it was, simply because in its quest for success, nothing stands in man's way. All rivers run dry, soon the birdsmen fly, the mountains will be no longer high. And when I really think of it, I just wonder why, oh why.
Josh, good night to you, Josh, man.
I see charity deplored, equal rights totally ignored, wisdom and ingenuity working in accord, simply to afford such inventions as mononuclear warfare and environmental warfare.